You are right on the money. Nice to have you with us, Brad Johansen, Tom Mosley. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. How are you? You ready for the infomercial?
Hey, what are you talking about? Are you? That's just a myth. Hey, did you know that I was an all-state basketball player?
No, really?
No, that's just a myth too.
Oh, okay.
You get the theme that we're working on right here. I want to work on some of the myths that we're going into in financial planning. And for a lot of you, you've kind of just been doing it yourself. You can do it just as good as a financial advisor. Myth number one. Look, there are probably some people who've handled their finances very well for most of their lives. How often does that happen?
I don't know, probably about as often. Well, let me tell you this. Did you know that I was a great mechanic?
No, I didn't know that, Tom.
I am super. I know everything about my little Toyota Tacoma pickup that I love to drive. I know everything about it as long as when I get in there and there's a button down here, and as long as I push that button and it works and it cranks, I am a great mechanic.
Brilliant.
Something happens to that button, though, I'm in trouble. It's like the easy button that they used to advertise. That's my easy button for being a mechanic. And a lot of people come along and they say, well, you know, I can be a great, I'm my own financial advisor. I'm a do-it-yourselfer. I had a guy one time tell me, this was about a year ago, he said, you know, I put my money into cash in 2008, and when the market started to come back in 2009, I knew right when to get back in the market, and I got back in the market, and I was pretty conservative getting back in the market. And you know what I did? I have doubled my money since 2009. Okay, I just pointed out to the guy, lovingly, kindly, that the market has 6 times what it was in 2009, but he's doubled his money, so he's excited.
You bring up something because I remember a Vanguard study that was done recently where do-it-yourselfers, you know, and you work over a 20-year span. That if you do it yourself, you know, you make about 1.6, and then if you do it with a financial advisor, you double your money. The idea is that Vanguard set up this study, and they are kind of like a do-it-yourselfer.
They're the champion do-it-yourselfer, low fee. You don't have to have an advisor. And I can't believe if I had done that study and I was Vanguard, I'd probably bury it.
The idea is that most people feel like somebody else is going to take them.
Yep.
It's fraud, swindle. If you're talking to me, shoot, you probably believe if we're talking to you right now, we're trying to sell you something. And the idea is, I guess we are trying to sell you peace of mind. I think the idea is that this is difficult. Being able to retire the way that you want to retire differently than somebody else is retired is very difficult. Take me to the second myth that you can think about, even right offhand, that would be, you know what, I wish people would stop believing this going into financial planning.
Well, they think the fees aren't worth it. That's one.
Okay, so we're right in that lane of the money.
It's always the money, and they think that well, why can't I just do that myself? I can read all of that. Look, I've got 18 employees, and we depend on other financial institutions that have hundreds of certified financial planners and certified financial analysts who can come in and make investment decisions. And we follow their decisions in many cases because their track record is good. And you're telling me you can pick up a magazine, you can read on the weekend, you can read at night, you can get on the internet and you can follow and you can make great financial decisions. You know, the number one way that people get their financial input on the internet is through TikTok. I know.
No, that's not true.
No, it is absolutely true.
I thought you were going another myth on me. That's their number one?
That is their number one. The number one resource is people are watching other people on TikTok. And as I've said often on this show, you can get great financial advice from somebody else who's gotten great financial advice, but that financial advice is for them. What kind of financial advice are you going to get for you? So let's go back to the fees. I always tell people, you know, the only people who are going to take all of your money, make you a boatload of money and then give it all back to you are your parents, okay? And your parents are usually passed away by the time you get retirement age. So who's going to do that for you? I have people come in and they're working for a big box firm. Maybe it starts with an F. There's several of them that start with an F, okay? And they come in, and recently a person came in and said, yeah, I work with them. They don't charge me any fees, okay? And, you know, you're right. They don't, let's change that. They don't tell you they're charging you any fees, because when we did one of our analysis that we do on portfolios, when people come in and they're trying to evaluate whether to work for us or not work with us and to move their money over to us, we did an analysis. And do you know that big box firm was charging them 1.17% under the table fees for the investments, because they were investing in-house. They were investing in their own products. Yeah, we don't charge you any upfront fees. Come to find out, they were charging them 1%, but they don't charge them any other fee other than the 1%, except they were investing in their own portfolios and they were making another 1.17% on those fees. What kind of fees are you paying? It's a myth to think that you're not paying fees unless your parents are doing the investment for you.
Yeah, but Tom, I've been doing this for a long time. These guys are big. They know what they're doing. I've got my accounts in there. It is a pain in the butt for me to change the accounts.
Yep.
They do it just like everybody else. How much is it actually going to mean for me to change to somebody else? Because the pain is moving everything over. It's going to be a real hassle for me to do this. I don't know how many weeks or months it's going to be for me to be able to do this. True or not?
Who told you that? Who told you that? Usually the person who's trying to get you to do what?
But we don't like change, Tom.
I know we don't like change, but sometimes that company that you're with right now is using a wholesale house like we use. Maybe it's Fidelity, Charles Schwab, we use on the wholesale side. And all you have to do is fill out one form. And you move the money immediately from where they're holding it to where we are holding it at Mosley Wealth Management. Now, one thing that's really clear, I want you to be clear, we never hold your money in our account. That's called Bernie Madoff.
I'm glad that you kind of made sure that you were very clear on each word you were using, because the people... There's a fear that when I move my money over, you've got it. How do I see it? What is it going to do? This is kind of a feeling of separation of church and state, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. There is a, well, you know what we're talking about? We're talking about the backside of trust.
Exactly.
And I would tell you out there that you should never have your money with anybody that you don't feel like you can trust. Because a lot of people come to us and they say, you know, the big box firm did this. We didn't know about it. They charged us this. We didn't know about it. We do the analysis. We show them what they're charging, and maybe they've been told something differently. Maybe you've been told by your big box firm, you know, we act as a fiduciary. That's a hot word. That's a big word in our industry. Fiduciary just simply means that person is required by law to act in your best interest. Can you imagine that? That's not a myth. That's a truth. We are all at Mosley Wealth Management fiduciaries. And so we listen to people all the time and they say, well, I talked to my person at my other firm and they told me we act as fiduciaries. My daughter went to the University of Oregon. She said she was a duck, but she never quacked. She never had web feet. You know, she never waddled when she was going. She was not a duck. She acted like a duck when they would go to the football games, you know, and they would yell for the Oregon Ducks. Go Ducks, okay? I like it. I love going to Autzen. But she was never a real duck. Your advisor many times acts like a fiduciary, but they're never a real fiduciary. So, you know, you've got to separate, and what we're trying to do with this whole show is separate fact from fiction, the truth from myth. And one way you can do that is get a second opinion and find out exactly where you are, because you maybe have some mistrust, maybe have some questions about where you're at, maybe have some questions about what they've done with your money over there, or how they performed, or what they're charging us. Why don't you get facts from a fiduciary by coming in, calling the number 866-709-1462. You can come in, you can meet with one of our now we've got 10 all-star advisors. We do have 5 offices. We're in Encino, Arcadia, Ontario. Our main office is in Anaheim, and we've just dramatically increased our space in our office down in San Diego from 700 square feet to almost 3,000 square feet. Come in, meet with a fiduciary. Let us give you a comprehensive retirement blueprint. It'll be a second opinion on where your advisor is now. Been with them 20 years. So what? Do you need a second opinion? Maybe their methods are outdated. Maybe there are some better things that are out there, and you'll never know until you find out. Call that number. Set up an appointment, 866-709-1462. We look forward to seeing you.
Separate fact from fiction. It's time. How about putting together a blueprint just for you? Then you'll know. Make a call. Scan the QR code. More myths debunked when we come back.
Welcome to this Right on the Money moment with Tom Mosley. My name is 𝗠𝗵𝘀 𝗵𝗫, and Tom, I have a very important question for you. What is happening on the horizon with Social Security? So many questions surrounding Social Security right now.
So many people are calling it now social insecurity because they've been telling us for about 10, 12, 15 years that in 2033, it used to be like an eon away, they've been telling us that they're going to have to lower the payouts on Social Security to about 77 to 79%. Well, it was a little bit of a shock treatment about 4 months ago or so when a big article came out in a national publication and said that's going to cost the average American person $8,000 to $17,000 per year. So a married couple would be $16,000 to $34,000. So here's what I would say about Social Security. You can't control Social Security. You can't control Congress. You can't even vote the people in that you want to do what you want them to do. But what you can do is you can build a contingent plan that if I do lose $16,000 to $34,000 in my Social Security payout, what am I going to do about it? How am I going to make up that difference? What happens in the world, you can't control. But what happens in your world, you need to be making preparation with your financial planner, making sure that you are addressing that potentiality that you could lose a big chunk of your Social Security. And the question is not, will it happen or could it happen? But if it happens, what are you going to do about it?
People have to be prepared, Tom, and you're offering such sage guidance right now. You truly are.
You have to.
Thank you for watching Right on the Money Moment. My name is 𝗠𝗵𝘀 𝗵𝗫 with Tom Mosley of Mosley Wealth Management.
You're right on the money, Brad Johansen, Tom Mosley, as we continue to debunk some myths in the financial world. I know a guy. That's the thing. Does anybody know a guy? Can you take me to a guy? I went to college with a guy, Tom, who's a financial guy.
I golf with a guy.
I golf with a guy, yeah. and he's. What's the myth about I have relationship, so it makes it easy for me to just walk into the office? I mean, maybe that can be good, right?
Unfortunately, in life, and I know this from 19 years of being in the ministry before I became a financial advisor, but unfortunately, we don't like to talk about this, but we go to sleep on our relationships sometimes. We take them for granted. They've always been there. And I know a lot of people, they get to a point where they're going to leave somebody that they've known for 20 years or known for 25 years, or I know a guy, and they're going to leave them. And it's amazing how they react sometimes. They say, well, look, after all I've done for you, after all the money I've made for you. And I always tell people, you know what, if this relationship was what it should have been, not only, and by the way, this is the way we are, not only was that person making money for you, but that person was making money off of your accounts, okay? And they've made a lot of money too. And all of us are in this business to make money. You just need to know what you're paying for fees. And so many times it's those relationship advisors, I would call them, that people don't know really what they're paying because you begin to take advantage. You begin to assume your relationships.
I want a relationship advisor.
Right.
I want a relationship for life with the guy who's taking care of my money, the gal who's taking care of my money. What's wrong with that?
Nothing, as long as it's based on performance, okay? As long as it's based on not the performance necessarily of did I make more with this person than I made with that person, but did I have a plan? Did it meet my needs? Did they answer my questions? Did they bring to the table opportunities and options that allowed me to know that I was taken care of, that they gave me that ability to sleep well at night? All of those things are so invaluable, Brad, when it comes to your retirement.
All right. All advisors are the same. I want to accumulate. I'd like to grow. And even in retirement, I'd like to accumulate and grow. Are accumulation advisors the same as distribution advisors moving into retirement?
Well, I think they can be both, but I think they're different. I think an accumulation advisor knows that you've got plenty of time. You've got time to save for retirement. You're saving in your 401ks, your IRAs, your retirement accounts that you're saving in your 20s and your 30s, and you're making tons of money maybe, and so you need to be putting things in other accounts other than just your 401ks because there are limits as to what you can put in those 401ks. You need an accumulation advisor that's going to help you grow, and then sort of tone it down as you get closer. You get what I call the red zone when you get close to retirement. I think that's really important. But in retirement, it's not your lump sum anymore that makes the difference. It's your income that makes the difference. Am I going to have, is my surviving spouse going to have guaranteed increasing income for as long as either one of us live, even after we run out of our own money? That's what you need. And that's an entirely different focus. That distribution phase, there should be more emphasis on this is where we were last year, and not necessarily that this is what we made, but that we maintained even though we're distributing from our retirement accounts, even though we're withdrawing. What is my withdrawal rate? What's a healthy withdrawal rate? It's an entirely different thing than an entirely healthy growth rate.
I want to go to another poll, a Harris poll that I remember. 71% of Americans don't want to go to a financial advisor because they think it's going to be uncomfortable. I want to look at this poll. Some aspect of talking to it is going to bring fear or embarrassment. As a matter of fact, according to AARP, 45% of adults, 45 to 59, would rather visit the dentist than visit a financial advisor. I mean, that's just a fact. It's not a myth, at least according to this poll, that people are afraid to go into a financial office and talk to somebody about their money. Why?
I think it's more they're embarrassed, okay? I'm a pretty friendly guy, Brad. I mean, we get along.
I would probably back you up on that.
Yeah,
You're kind of a friendly guy.
Yeah, but I think sometimes that they fear that financial advisor is going to laugh at them, look down on them. And there are a lot of the big box firms who, in a backhanded way, and even in their advertisement, they say, if you've got $1 million, which conversely means don't bother us if you don't have $1 million. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
And I think people read that and they realize they don't have $500,000 or $1 million, and they're not working with somebody who's really willing to help people. Let's make one thing perfectly clear. God has blessed me and my family, and we are feeling the blessings of the Lord right now. But that hasn't always been the case. Brad, there have been times where I was hoping that, something would come through so that I could make the house payment on time. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
I know what it's like, as the scriptures talk about, to live in plenty and to live in want. And I think a lot of people feel that they're going to run into a financial advisor who's going to look down on them if they haven't saved. Well, and people come in and they'll say, I'm really embarrassed at what we've saved. What you've saved is what you've saved. The very best thing you can do for yourself for the long term is just to admit where you are and get help. For goodness sakes, get help. I think it's a lot like, I've got this pain, but I'm afraid to go to the doctor and get a test because I've got this pain and I don't know what it could be. Well, what's the best thing to do? Go find out whatever it is and take care of it. And it's the same way with a financial advisor. And I'm glad they included that word that the people are embarrassed to go to a financial advisor. You don't need to be embarrassed. You do need to be embarrassed if you come to a financial advisor and we build a retirement blueprint and we tell you how you can get out of trouble and you don't take the steps to get yourself out of trouble. Then okay, be embarrassed at that point, but not just because you are where you are. For goodness sakes, find out where you are and build a plan to get to where you want to be.
I'm going to give you an option right now. You can call the dentist, or you can call 866-709-1462 and get a free written financial blueprint without any embarrassment, without being humbled, without being told you did it wrong. The idea of saying, how about we do this for you so that you can do it right for the rest of your life and live with money until your last breath. It's your choice. You make the call. You scan the QR code. Or you can call the dentist. We'll be right back.
We know the market is going to get worse from here. This is the biggest monthly decline in 10 years. People's 401ks took a major hit.
Well, my investments are tanking. My retirement isn't going as planned. I can't believe I let my kid talk me into buying crypto. I mean, what is that anyway?
This was the fourth worst contraction in history.
So how are you two doing?
Your financial future doesn't have to be uncertain. I'm Tom Mosley with Mosley Wealth Management. If you have amassed a nest egg, it's time for a financial advisor to help you reach your retirement goals. This is one of the greatest tax windows in history. Now is the time to take advantage of this tax discount while you can. We specialize in retirement planning, tax mitigation, estate planning, and much more. Plan your retirement right. Call now for your portfolio review and tax analysis. Imagine not having to face your retirement journey with the same old corporate solutions as everyone else. In these economic times, you deserve a fresh perspective that includes a personalized income plan and a tax map from an independent fiduciary advisor whose focus is on you. Call the number you see here to schedule your retirement blueprint right now.
So glad you're with us, Brad Johansen with Tom Mosley. We're going through some myths on why or why not you visit a financial advisor. We talked about doing it yourself. I can do it myself. I know we covered a little bit of that, but I know you have a bunch of stories with people that you've dealt with who have tried to do it themselves, especially in a spousal way of trying to figure that. I lead into that with, you're such a great storyteller because they're real. Tell me why I can do it myself kind of rings true for you with the people that you've walked into the office with.
5 kids. There were times I had holes in the walls of my houses because they would knock off the chest or knock off something and big hole in the wall, you know, and stuff. And I am great at repairing sheetrock. In fact, I'm like biblical, where they would leave a memorial to the whatever happened in that area. You know, they would stack up stones and they would leave a memorial. When I repair sheetrock, I leave a mark where you can see it forever, you can tell it forever, because I'm not a professional. And I can fix it and it looks good, and I try to justify it looking good forever.
And you can get by.
Right. But there are some things that if you make decisions the wrong way, like taking your Social Security. I've had people turn on their Social Security at 62 when they were making $150,000 a year because they didn't know about the earnings limit between 62 and full retirement age. You know, when they found out about it, right. They found out about it the next year when they filed their income tax, and they found out that they'd made $100,000 too much money, way too late. I've had people who didn't know about the breadwinner survivorship. And that means that in a husband and wife with Social Security, the breadwinner, the one who's the tallest one, the biggest one, stays whenever one of them passes away in the marriage. So therefore, they turned them both on at the same time. Didn't really need the Social Security, turned them both on at the same time. And then when one of them passed away later and they went away, that breadwinner wasn't as big as it could be to be there for the survivor. Little things like that, little gotchas like that. I've had people who do their own required minimum distributions because their broker told them it's 4%. It's never a percentage. It's always a lifetime expectancy factor that you divide in to the amount. So little bitty things. And I take courses from the American College for continuing education and for a CFP designation and things like that. And in the second course in the CFP designation on page 4 of the 250-page book that you go through, there is an analysis of 19 different little bitty mistakes people can make and how do-it-yourselfers make a 1 to a 6% error overall in making that. Well, a 1 to a 6% error done 19 times, Brad, that ends up being, according to the American College, a 37% difference in the payout. You quoted earlier a survey by Vanguard that said working with an advisor can give you twice as much money as working by yourself and doing it for yourself. Ed Slott, Master Elite Advisor with Ed Slott, he told us in our last meeting of a gentleman who was working with a Vanguard, and he had over a $2 million IRA. He wanted to do his own Roth conversions, got them all figured out, hit the wrong button, and he converted $2 million in 1 year, making his taxable income over $2 million in 1 year. Can you do it yourself? Absolutely. But like me doing sheetrock, it might be a memorial to the mistake you've made by doing it yourself. I got a guy. His name is Mike. But the difference is Mike's not just a guy from down the street. Mike's a professional. He runs a company. He owns a company. And when he fixes the sheetrock, I can't find it. It's a professional.
I don't know how important your finances are to you, or whether it matters that they last till your last breath. You might want an expert to help. This is your time. Make the call. 866-709-1462. Scan the QR code. Get a professional. That's not a myth. Do it right. See you in the office. See you right here next time.